श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। प्रमिला जी आप हाँ जी।
ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृत दुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी करणेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधना वर्तनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरननदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधना बोधितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैर्हरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद भारत पंकजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघ्यते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैः स्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगा ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः।
हरि ओम। So we will start off with verse number 19 straight away. We had done up to verse number 18, where he had said avyaktavyaktayaः sarvaः prabhavantyah ragame ratyagame praliyante tatraiva avyakta sanyake. So he said, with Brahma's awakening at the beginning of the day of Brahma, aha agame. Aha means day. So when the day comes, the entire thing manifests. Now I had talked about this. When the Gita structure is tat tvam asi, it takes this Mahavakya, and the first 6 chapters we talked about tvam, and the second he talks about that. So when he talks about tat, what we actually experience, yatha pinde tatha brahmande, that is the saying. What happens here happens across this entire universe. So this entire world manifests only when I open my eyes. When I am in deep sleep, when I am in the sushupti avastha, There is nothing, there is no world. Everything collapsed. Everything became zero. So similarly, now when we extrapolate that into this entire universe, then when Ishvara awakes, the world manifests. When Ishvara sleeps, the world dissolves. So he has just beautifully taken the same concept that we had already learned earlier, saying that from the unmanifest, the manifest, from the manifest to the unmanifest, the whole process of how you as a body will came from the unmanifest, manifested, will die and become unmanifest again. He now takes that and explodes that into the cosmic, macrocosmic position. So now let us look at verse number 19. However, today, yes, Raghuji.
I had a question, related question with respect to what japam we are doing. So I was noticing a couple of things when I'm actually completely focused on the mantra. Sometimes I cannot hear what is going on. Okay, but I wonder if that is the objective, because I feel that should not be the objective. The objective should be, I should be able to focus while my body continues to function and the information reaches the brain, still should reach the brain still. If the call, morning prayer call goes off, I should be able to hear it. I should not be able to hear it. I just wonder if I'm doing something wrong there.
Actually, you are doing something very right. You're doing something very right. The stage that you talked about, it is called ajapa japa. The japa continues even when you are not doing japa. Right? Now that is a state of, okay, let us look at this from a cognitive learning process. In a cognitive learning process, stage 1 is said, the layer of where I do not know that I do not know. So when I was 5 years old, I sat in somebody's car, I held the steering wheel and I said, ooh, 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 and I felt I was driving the car. I did not know that I did not know how to drive the car. Now some inflection happens, right? And you suddenly realize you actually don't know. So I was in a college, which was a boys' college. The second half of the college, in later part of the college, used to become a co-ed college. So we all used to wait there, waiting for the beautiful girls to come, right? All the boys would wait over there, waiting for the beautiful girls. Now the girls who'd rush were the guys who came with cars, right? Because they had cars at that point of time. They were all ambassadors and Fiats. But then irrespective, when the guy came with that ambassador or Fiat, the girls rushed over there to get a ride, to take a ride around with that boy. And suddenly you get that feeling, oh, I don't know how to drive a car. Second level of learning. I know that I don't know. Then you learn the car, how to drive a car. You get your license. We all know the licensing process. Then you start driving. Now, how do you drive? Right? Somebody sitting next to you, he starts talking, hey, chup, main drive kar raha hu. Right? And putting from first gear, from neutral to first gear, you have managed to do it without that. Then you feel so great sense of achievement. Conscious competence. I know that I know. And then unconscious competence. Today, you put me in a car, I will put it into gear, automatic, not automatic, anything. You sit down and you drive. Same way, there was a stage when you did not even know that a concept of japa existed. Right? You started doing the Gayatri, you did your Sandhya Vandanam, but you did not know it was japa. You did not know. And you felt what you were doing was japa. You have moved to a stage where you are conscious of the fact that you are doing japa. At that stage, your total concentration is on that japa. Right? Just exactly as we were driving a car, your entire concentration is on the car. If somebody else outside comes, you either shut them out or you tell them to shut up. Same way, right now, your mind is at a stage where it has, through this preparation over the years of whatever we have been doing, it has come to a point where it is saying, okay, I am now ready to focus. Until that stage is run, you can't go to the fourth stage, which is where the japa is continuous, even though the entire faculties are all functioning. Eyes are functioning, ears are functioning, indriyas are all functioning. They are all running outward without affecting anything that is going on inside. That is the state of Krishna. That is the state of the Atman. So that state, to arrive at that state, is japa. The practice of making the mind sit in one place for 84 lakh yonis. You and I have done one bhajan. You know the bhajan, right? Aham mama, aham mama, aham mama, aham mama. So that aham mama bhajan for 84 lakh yonis. And for 84 lakh yonis in chapter 6, very clearly, first Sri Krishna says it, then Arjuna says that my mind is not controllable. Vayoriva dushnigraha. Right? Like wind. It is uncontrollable. Nigraha means to control. Dushnigraha. Uncontrollable. Like the wind. He says that. And he says, this is not possible by me. And what does he say? Abhyasena tu kaunteya. Right? Start practicing. Start the practice. So, Pramilaji, 45 minutes. We all come back to that 45 minutes all the time. Right? So, in the 19th verse, and today, thanks for raising that question. But today we will concentrate on two different things today. We will do one shloka, one or two shlokas, but essentially, Meenaji has raised a few questions in the last week, which I had told her that we will address during this entire session. So Meenaji will repeat her questions for all of us benefit, and I will try and see if we can arrive at some answers. And also, I want to look at what he's saying right now in chapter verses 19 and so on and so forth, and we look at it from the perspective of a philosophical argument, and then try and understand how do we understand a Vedavakya? How do we understand a statement made in the scripture? What is the tarka? Tarka means the science of discussion. In the science of discussion, how do we use the pramana theories and the lakshana theories to bring together an understanding of what is being said? So let us look at verse number 19. Raghuji, can you recite? Breaking it up.
Bhutagramah sa evayam. Bhutagramah sa evayam. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Bhutagramah sa evayam. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. Ratriagame vashah partha. Ratriagame vashah partha. Prabhavatyaharagame. Prabhavatyaharagame. Ratriagame vashah partha. Prabhavatyaharagame. Bhutagramasa evayam.
Carry on.
Bhutva praliyate. Ratriagame vashah partha. Prabhavatyaharagame.
Bhutagramaha. Bhutagramaha. Grama means collection. Bhuta means ghosts.
Materials.
Materials, right? Materials. Bhuta word obviously also means ghosts, but Bhuta also means past, right? But it also means materials, that which is made out of material. So Bhuta Grama, all this that is coming from this material world. Bhuta Grama, Saha, these, Eva, certainly, I am this. Evayam, Eva, I am, Evayam. Bhuta Grama sa Evayam. Bhutva bhutva, repeatedly taking birth, praliyate, dissolves. Taking birth and dissolves. Taking birth and dissolves. Bhuta gramasa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate. Ratrya game vasha. Partha. Partha we know is son of Pritha. That is why Partha. ratri agame, at the advent of night, when the night starts, avashaha, helplessly, with no ability to control that. When night comes, so how do you want, when you feel sleepy, then, I mean, forget Red Bull and coffee, but when you feel sleepy, then you have to go to sleep, right? For that matter, in one of the discussions between Kavyakanta Ganapati Muni and Ramana Maharshi, there is a discussion between three driving forces of the desire for sex, the desire for food, and the desire for sleep. And Bhagavan Maharshi says that the desire for sleep is predominant to all of these two. If you are feeling sleepy, then neither hunger nor sex will be able to disturb you. That is how powerful sleep is. Right? There is a beautiful suktam in the Rig Veda. It is called the Ratri Suktam. Try and see if you can Google it and find it. I'm sure it's available. So you can always look at that and beautiful suktam, and look at the translation. The praise to Nidra Devi, the praise to Ratri. Oh night, come and give me sleep. It's a beautiful poetry. So here he says avashaha, ratriagame avashaha, Partha, and then he says prabhavati, becomes manifest, aha agame, at the advent of the day. When the day comes, it becomes manifest. Now let us look at how do we understand and accept these sort of statements, because these are not statements that we can understand directly. So actually there is a method of lakshana in Vedic elaboration. So to get the true meaning of a sentence, you need to understand it by employing certain methodologies. And we have already seen that, right? That Sanskrit is a very well structured language. So because it is a structured language, you need to, there is a methodology for understanding these statements. It is called Tarka Sangraha. Tarka Sangraha, and is predominantly from the Nyayika schools, right? For those of you who are doing Brahma Sutra with me, you remember the Nyayika schools. So the Nyayika school, they have used something called the Tarka Sangraha. Tarka Sangraha, the principle of understanding something is done by, it is called the, there are methods of lakshanas. They are called Jaha Lakshana, Ajaha Lakshana, Jaha Ajaha Lakshana. Jaha means to reject. Ajaha, not to reject, means to accept. Jaha Ajaha means to reject parts and to accept parts. Now let us take some examples. My house is on the sea. I've made a statement to you. My house is on the sea. What did you understand? Anybody?
It's by the seaside.
But I didn't say that. I said it is on the sea. So when I say my house is right on the sea, you have rejected the direct meaning of the sentence. Correct? You have rejected the direct meaning of the sentence. And therefore you have extrapolated by saying, I put that house by the sea. For example, I flew to Bombay. I flew to Delhi. I don't have wings. I could not have flown to Bombay or to Delhi. So you automatically reject the direct meaning of the statement and extrapolate. One of the ways to understand that. The second, ajaha, right? Now, I say the hundreds of guns marched towards the valleys of Kashmir. Hundreds of guns marched towards the valleys of Kashmir. What am I saying?
इसके पीछे अर्थ छिपा हुआ है, सैनिक जा रहे हैं.
Correct. But सैनिक क्या लेकर जा रहा है?
Gun.
So I have accepted the statement that guns did march, but I furthered it to understand that the guns could not have marched alone, and therefore they were soldiers who were taking it. Right? And now, third, let us say that I have my sister-in-law sitting in this room right now, right? And my son comes in. And my son comes in, and I point to my son and say, this is that boy. This is that boy. Right? Now, there is a lot of meaning here. What has been said? That boy. Which boy? The one you used to play with when he was so small. So you have rejected the body, mind, intellect construct of that boy to accept this boy and made both of them contiguous. So you accepted certain parts of the statement, rejected certain parts of the statement, and therefore created a meaning out of it. Make sense? Right? Jaha, ajaha. Now, what is the tatastha lakshana of Brahman? Okay, firstly, what are the two types of lakshanas?
Sarupa Lakshana and Dharasa Lakshana.
Correct. So what is the tatastha lakshana of Brahman?
Creation.
Ishvara.
At the point of creation.
So therefore Ishvara. Correct? Ishvara is nothing but Brahman pointing to Brahman. Tatastha lakshana. So whatever I describe for Ishvara is essentially pointing to Brahman. We saw that when we were doing Brahma Sutra. So if you look at this, now I am going to give you a vakya. Tat tvam asi. You are, okay. Tat, that you are. Right? Sanskrit is a language where I can reconstruct this. I can say tvam tat asi. Right? Or to make it sound in English, correct in English, tvam asi tat. You are that. Right? Grammatically correct even in Sanskrit. But we use Tattvamasi because it is there in the Upanishad in that form. So now I'm saying Tvam Asi Tat. You are that. Now when I say you are that, what is the that which is being indicated?
Parabrahman.
Dr. Brahman.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Because
That is in the Vedas is used to indicate the truth.
See, if I am saying you are that, I am a part of creation. I am a part of creation. Then that is also a part of the creation. But if that is a part of the creation, then it is also subject to change. So I have to reject the meaning of that as Ishvara. Do you see that? Because if I accept that Tat as Ishvara, then I am saying that the Jiva and the Ishvara both are subject to change. So I reject the meaning of that as Ishvara. So which meaning then I have to accept? I have to accept the meaning that that can only therefore mean Parabrahman, which therefore indicates the equality of the Jiva and and Shiva. Yes.
But that is only if I intrinsically believe that in my permanence. So if I'm going to be something, it's got to be something that's permanent and cannot be Ishvara.
Yeah, of course. You have reached a point where you are already we have gone through Jigyasa.
Yeah.
If you are a Charvaki, the question has not arisen. Right? He's drinking ghee, taking loans, becoming NPA. He's running away from the credit collector, the money collector coming to his house. He's doing all that. Forget him. We are talking of you and I. And we have raised that question in our minds, the primary question, that this life where I was born at 2.5 kilos and will die at 65 kilos or 70 kilos cannot be the be-all and end-all of life. So having raised that question, therefore, the whole process of japa and so on and so forth to try and control the mind. Meena ji, you had a few questions. आपके कुछ सवाल थे जो आपने मुझे WhatsApp पे लिखे थे. यदि आप पढ़े तो it will be good for all of us.
जी बिल्कुल मैं पढ़ देती हूँ. मेरा पहला प्रश्न था कि जैसे जब भी हम मंत्र जपते हैं, मेरे साथ तो ऐसा होता है कि पिछले जब आपने मुझे कोविड के टाइम बताया था, उस तरह से मैं कुछ भी जपती हूँ, यानी सो हम, तो जैसे ही हम उसको श्वास से जोड़ते हैं तो हमारे जो बॉडी है उसमें एक स्लोनेस आने लगता है, शिथिलता आने लगती है, यानी कि कुछ भी काम कर रहे हैं ना तो ऐसे करता नहीं है मन कि ये करें या वो करें। जैसे जीवन में बहुत भागम भाग रहती है ना, उछल उछल के ये कर लें ये कर लें, तो वो सब ऐसे यूं लगता है कि क्या सब बेकार ही तो है ऐसा। तो मुझे कई बार फील होता है कि क्या ये आलस्य है, क्या ये तामसी वृत्ति है। ऐसा मन करता है कि ये सब करते रहो। और जब हम मन में कोई मंत्र जप रहे हैं, ये मतलब आवाज होठ से तो
ओके,
आई नहीं।
एक सेकंड, सेकंड सवाल के पहले पहले इसका लेट अस लुक एट दिस. So what has happened with Meena ji? She is saying that when I am doing japa and I continue to do japa, then I feel that the surroundings around me have become irrelevant. I'm not interested in them. I am not engaged with them. Right? What happened? Very simple. Go back to chapter 6. Go back to verse number 31, 32. I don't remember exact number. 31. What did he say? अभ्यास करते रहो तो क्या क्या उत्पन्न होगा? वैराग्य उत्पन्न होगा. अभ्यास करते रहोगे, जो मैंने तुमको बताया उसका तुम अभ्यास करते रहोगे तो क्या उत्पन्न होगा? वैराग्य उत्पन्न होगा. नेचुरली, ये नेचुरल है. वैराग्य उत्पन्न होने का पहला स्टेज क्या होता है? हमको लगता है आलस्य, आलस्य नहीं है ये है हमें, ये वैराग्य का पहला मैनिफेस्टेशन है. आई एम नॉट बॉदर्ड, एंगेज्ड विथ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग अराउंड मी. द सेकेंड स्टेज इज आई एम कंप्लीटली डिटैच्ड एंड येट आई एम फुल्ली मोबाइल, जो कि आज रघु जी ने भी स्टार्ट किया था कि आई एम सो एंगेज्ड विथ माई ओन माइंड दैट द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड गॉट क्लोज्ड. बट व्हेन you cross that stage, then the outside world, yeah, I mean, if you had seen Gurudev functioning now, you would have felt this man is Vairagi. This man has no Vairagya. He is eating, he is drinking, he is earlier days he used to smoke also. He is smoking, he gets angry, he shouts at people. What is this? And then you remember in Bhagavad Geeta, he says, Swapan, Shwasan, Ashnan, etc., etc. Right? So we have to reach that stage. So your first stage of getting disengaged with the world, at least at the time when you are doing japa, is basically an indication that your mind has started moving inward and has started dissociating from what the natural tendency of the mind is, which is to run outward. Natural tendency is running outward. All your indriyas are meant to run outward, like the horses of Arjuna's chariot. So that is the answer, my answer to the first question. आगे बोलिए.
सेकंड मेरा प्रश्न है कि पिछली बार हमारी बात हुई थी कि मंत्र जपते हैं तो उसकी कुछ फ्रिक्वेंसीज है जो जाती हैं इधर उधर, रेडियंस है. तो जब हम मंत्र मन में जप रहे हैं, बोल तो रहे नहीं है उसको, एनी टाइम स्टार्ट हो जा रहा है मंत्र, कभी भी किसी भी टाइम पे किसी भी कंडीशन में, और वो अंदर ही चल रहा है, इनर चल रहा है, तो क्या उसकी भी ध्वनि किसी को सुनाई देती है? हमें तो सुनाई दे रही है, पर क्या वो इस जो ये है ब्रह्मांड है, क्या इसमें उसकी तरंगे जाती है?
Okay, good. The theory of sound, right? Nada Shastra in our ancient theories says that sound exists at 4 different levels. The first level is called Para, where sound exists in unmanifested form, right? So even the concept of a thought has not come, but it is there. From there, it becomes Pashyanti. Pashyanti means to be able to see, which means that the sound is now perceived, but yet it has not taken shape. Then comes Madhyama, where the sound has taken shape, but it has not expressed. And then finally, Vaikhari. Vikaran means to spread. Vaikhari. Vaikhari means when the sound comes out from your lips. Right? This is the lowest grade of sound. The lowest grade of sound is when I'm speaking to you. What I'm doing right now is Vaikhari. Vaikhari is the lowest grade. So sound in itself is energy. And the higher the level you go, Vaikhari se Madhyama, Madhyama se Pashyanti, Pashyanti se Para, the level of energy in that sound is continuously increasing. Which is why, even when you are doing a mantra japa, there are 3 types of mantra japa that we talk about. One is Vaikhari, that is what is spoken. Ucharita, it is called Ucharita. The third is called second is called Upamshu. Upamshu means my lips are moving. There is no sound, but my lips are moving. Like that, right? और कुछ भी कर रहा हूं मैं, तो वो मेरे lips move कर रहे हैं, sound नहीं आ रहा है, Upamshu. And then the highest level, Manasik. So the highest level, when we are saying it by that definition, is that the energy required to remain at that level is far higher than the energy required to be at the more grosser level. It is more subtle, and the more subtle you are, the higher the energy level it is required to maintain there. So when you say that when I am vibrating at that particular frequency, is there something happening in the Brahmanda accordingly? Yes, it is. Now let me explain Mantra Shastra also. Mantra Shastra has 2 different meanings in 2 different schools. In the Advaitic school, mantra, irrespective of the mantra, doesn't matter what you are using, right? Dham, Dhoom, Dheem, Dhak, Kunjika Stotra of Bhagavati talks about all these sounds. Na? If you have ever read Kunjika Stotra, you will hear all those sounds. Bam, Bheem, Dham, Dhoom, all those sounds there, which may not mean anything. For the Advaiti, the mantra only has one purpose. Manana trayati iti mantraha. That is the only purpose that mantra has. Whereas in Tantra Shastra, because Tantra Shastra does not deny the existence of the present world, does not deny the pleasures that this world can create, it therefore says that the energy of the mantra can be used for positive purposes in this world also. Hence, in the Tantra Shastra, when you are doing mantra, the mantra can be used for creating better health, for manifesting certain positive things, etc., etc. It can also be used to manifest negative things. Because it is energy. It's a tool. It is energy. Right? And it can be used that way. But for us, our school, we are all Advaitis, followers of Gurudev. Manana trayati iti mantra. Therefore, Soham, Tattvamasi, Gayatri, Dham, Dhoom, Dheem, whatever you want to use, it doesn't matter. Right? मन में काली बिल्ली करिए, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. काली बिल्ली से भी आपको मोक्ष मिलेगा, क्योंकि काली बिल्ली आपके मन को यदि शांत कर सकता है और 84 लाख योनि का उछल कूद काली बिल्ली से बंद होता है, तो काली बिल्ली ही सही. So hence therefore there is energy, and that energy does manifest. Our job is to ignore that manifestation of energy. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa met 2 brothers. I forget their names right now. And one day, Sri Thakur had gone to a particular place, and he was coming back, and it was pitch dark. So the younger brother, he took the shirt of the elder brother and he lifted the shirt. शर्ट ऊंचा कर दिया. तो शर्ट ऊंचा किया ना, तो पीठ से सर्च बीम के जैसे, सर्च लाइट के जैसे लाइट निकला और पूरा रास्ता इल्यूमिनेटेड हो गया. पूरा रास्ता जब इल्यूमिनेटेड हो गया, ठाकुर आराम से चल के चले गए वहां से. द नेक्स्ट डे ही कॉल्ड बोथ ऑफ देम, एंड एज इफ ही इज थैंकिंग देम, उनके पीठ के ऊपर में बहुत अच्छी तरह से हाथ फेरा. एंड दे लॉस्ट ऑल देयर पावर्स. So he took away those powers, because those powers were disturbing them in their spiritual growth, because you are trapped with all those siddhis. And in all shastras, whether it is Tantra Shastra or Mantra Shastra or Advaita or whichever, it is said that these siddhis will manifest. These sort of things that happen around us will manifest. Getting involved with them pulls us back, because these are all in the material world. They are not in the spiritual. Right? आपका एक और एक प्रश्न था.
जी, एक और प्रश्न है कि क्या होता है ना कि पहले बोला गया था सुबह और शाम को ऐसा 45 मिनट्स बैठना है, तो वो एक गोल्डन रूल बनाया। अभी वो सारे टाइम कभी भी आके निकल पड़ता है, तो उसको रोके कैसे? वो रुकता ही नहीं है, अपने आप ही चलता रहता है मंत्र।
हाँ, तो रुकना नहीं है ना इसको। ये तो जब आपने शुरू किया था तब की बात थी कि आपको 45 मिनट्स करना है. See what happens. Let me explain it from a physical fitness perspective. Okay, so when you start exercising and you find, you are told by your doctor कि your BMR, basal metabolic rate, all of you understand that, right? The metabolic rate of my average metabolic rate of my body, basal metabolic rate को बढ़ाना पड़ेगा. अब क्या होता है, हम लोग एक्सरसाइज करना शुरू करते हैं, हम डाइट के ऊपर ध्यान देते हैं, धीरे धीरे तब हम लोग बहुत कॉन्शियस रहते हैं, राइट? और फिर वो स्मार्ट वॉच में देखते हैं, हाँ मेरा आज को 2000 कैलोरी गया, मेरा आज को 2400 कैलोरी गया, ये हम लोग करते रहते हैं. कुछ दिन के बाद क्या होता है, वो नेचुरल हैबिट बन जाती है. योर कैलोरीफिक इनटेक एंड योर कैलोरीफिक आउटपुट हैज बिकम कांस्टेंट एट अ पर्टिकुलर लेवल एंड योर बीएमआर हैज ऑटोमेटिकली गॉन अप. Your BMR has automatically gone up and you are not even aware of that. So even while you are lying down, you are burning more calories than earlier where you were being in a very sedentary life. Correct? So let us use the same example. When you have started practicing the japa starts trying to get into your mind, which is basically saying, look, I find peacefulness. See, why do we all run after becoming perfect in whatever field? Right? Raghuji wanted to be the best engineer. I wanted to be the best corporate trainer or the best chartered accountant. You want to be the best teacher. Why do we want to be the best? Why are we so competitive with the world?
अच्छा करने के लिए.
You get some satisfaction when you attain perfection.
Why? Where is that? Where is that satisfaction coming from? Because this is nothing to do with survival. If it was food, I can understand. Okay, when we were cavemen, their food was limited, so we had to run after food. So I need to get the best food. I can understand that. But what has got?
खुद को शांति मिलती है करने के लिए.
क्यों?
अच्छा लग रहा है ना उसको करके.
क्यों अच्छा लग रहा है?
क्यों अच्छा लग रहा है?
अच्छा इसीलिए लगता है क्योंकि परफेक्शन इज द तटस्थ, is the swarupa lakshana of what you really are.
Yes.
And in our imperfection, we unconsciously know that we are the omniscient, the omnipotent, the omnipresent Atman. And therefore, in every field that we want to go, we want to reach that perfection, because merging into that is the natural drive of every human being.
You're right, sir.
And therefore, when you start that practice, उसको आभास होने लगा है, आपके मन को आभास होने लगा है कि वहां मुझे शांति ज्यादा मिलती है. ये बाहर दौड़ने से शांति कम है. बाहर की शांति मुझे वापस अशांत करती है. ये वाली शांति मुझे अच्छी लग रही है. So it keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. See, our Rishis were very, very good experts in human behavior. They have done all this research. Today's scientists have started giving names to it, neuro-linguistic programming and behavioral sciences of various types and all that. We have done all that research. We lost it in terms of not giving any names to it and also not claiming credit. See, today in the West, because we claim credit, ye mera hai, so people then are aware of it, then the प्रचार होती है. मुझे भी प्रचार की जरूरत ही नहीं थी, मैं तो उधर का ऋषि था, right? Any more questions? Anybody else? It is good that we have questions, because if we are having questions, that means that there is some manan that is happening. मनन होता है तो ही सवाल उठते हैं. मनन जब तक नहीं हो रहा है, कुछ सवाल नहीं उठते हैं. मेरे क्लास, कॉर्पोरेट ट्रेनिंग की क्लास में भी मैं बोलता हूँ, आर देयर एनी क्वेश्चंस? नो क्वेश्चंस. नो क्वेश्चंस means two things: either you have understood everything or you have understood nothing. And if you have, and the probability of you understanding everything is 0. So therefore, there are no questions.
A little say when we get up and present a paper, a technical paper and all that. The end of the presentation, if nobody asks any question, that's a flop, complete flop. It
Correct.
means people are tuned out completely. They have no, he has lost his audience. Okay?
Correct.
There have to be a
Absolutely.
few questions.
So therefore, I'm very happy that Meenaji has raised these questions, and she has allowed us to do some manan. Let us go back to
You
verse
see,
number
but here
12.
we have to practice it. That's why we don't come forward.
Honest admissions. So, okay, without abhyasa, nothing will happen. Believe me, nothing will happen. I mean, you can employ the best trainer. You can take a membership to the best gym. But if you want to lose your belly fat, you have to get there and get onto the treadmill and listen to whatever he's saying. And Krishna is telling us now in chapter 6 entirely, he has told us. He has told us how to sit, how to say, when to sit, how to eat, how to drink, how to sleep, how to face, which direction to face, how to sit and do what, and how to gather our senses inside. All of that. We don't have to go to even Gurudev. Forget me. You don't have to go to Gurudev. Krishna himself has told us, Jagat Guru has told us what to do. But if we don't do it, it has to be done. Right?
एक और बात है वही कि जब हम आंखें बंद करके, जो कि मैंने आज सुबह आपसे पूछा था कि ऐसा मतलब बाहर अभी आंखें हैं, लाइट है, तो सब दिख रहा है क्लियर क्लियर, जब आंखें बंद कर लेते हैं और चुपचाप बैठे हैं तो अंदर वो सब हो रहा है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मैं अभी जब गई थी केदार धाम तो मुझे सेम फीलिंग आती है. वो मैंने उनको ऐसे टच, मतलब एग्जैक्टली वो सेम. तो मैं कैसे अभी इतना ठंड फील कर रही हूँ कि अरे बाबा इतनी ठंड थी, ऐसे मैंने टच किया था, वो मेरा हाथ ऐसे घी में हो गया था, मतलब सेम. कैसे, how it is?
That's it. Attachment. Your mind has got attached to a particular feeling. It doesn't matter whether it is a positive feeling or a negative feeling. You have created an experience and you are living in that experience. So when you are, and that experience gave you pleasure. See, that experience gave you pleasure. And because it gave you pleasure, when you are stilling your mind, it wants to go back into that pleasure area. अभी जो बात किया था, जहां मुझे सुख मिला वहां मुझे वापस जाना है. Right? People who get addicted, why do they get addicted to substances? They get addicted to substances because they have no control over their mind. But when they take this substance, the mind stills. The mind becomes still, and it creates its own world inside, which appears to be far more colorful, far more engaging, far more pleasurable than the world that he or she is experiencing. And therefore, again, you need a fix, and you need a fix, and you need a fix. The whole science of even getting addicted. So you are also getting addicted. But it's a positive addiction, don't worry. But ultimately, you have to get rid of that addiction also. Ultimately.
है कि जब हम किसी चीज का अभ्यास करना छोड़ देते हैं, रेगुलर उसको करना, जैसे किसी भी रीजन से छूट गया, मान लीजिए 4 दिन भी छूट गया, तो उस वक्त वो नहीं, और फिर बाद में वो जब तो आ ही जाएगा, लेकिन फिर से वो, जैसे हम एक चीज का पीछा करते करते जाते हैं कि फॉर एग्जांपल ये लाइट आई, क्यों, कैसे आई, अच्छा ये वही है, तो उसका अभ्यास छोड़ने पर वो बार बार ऐसे स्मरण क्यों नहीं कराता परब्रह्म?
परब्रह्म का काम नहीं है कोई की स्मरण कराना. He is not your bookkeeper. He is not going to tell you कि हाँ चलो जब करने बैठो. वो तो आपका गुरु का काम है. वो परब्रह्मन का काम नहीं है. और सेकेंडली, इवन जब अभ्यास छूट जाता है, गो बैक टू चैप्टर 6, क्या बोलते हैं? अर्जुन ने पूछा था, राइट, कि जब एक योग भ्रष्ट हो जाता है तो क्या होता है? तो कृष्ण ने क्या बोला? जहां छूटा था वहीं से शुरू होगा. देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट दैट. छूट जाएगा, उससे हम वो उसका गिल्ट में बैठेंगे तो फिर प्रॉब्लम है. छूट गया, वापस शुरू कीजिए. अभी बीच में ना very nice, I mean, not a big fan of this person, but Instagram, he popped up on my Instagram, and I listened to what he was saying, and I really liked what he said. This was about resolutions being made on the new year. So I can keep up to the resolution only for 3 days, and then I fail on the 4th day. So what should I do, Swamiji? Nothing. You have kept on it for 3 days, which means You have learned to restart on 3 days. Every 3 days, do a restart. Slowly, that 3 days restart will become a 4-day restart and a 5-day restart and a 7-day restart, and it will work. That's how. So I love that fact. It's not about the 19 times that I fell down. It's about the 20 times that I got up. Correct. So that is why abhyasa. That is why abhyasa, and that's why Gurudev keeps on saying consistency, consistency, consistency. I don't care if your process is wrong. I don't care if your methodology is wrong. I don't care if you have taken the wrong mantra. I don't care if you are you don't have a guru. It doesn't matter. Do something and do it consistently. It will yield results. Yes, Raghuji, you had a question.
Yeah. So I had an observation. See, of the 5 senses, the sense of sight is an attention hog. It tends to overwhelm, and very often we see that the other senses start dwindling in their abilities. Okay, your awareness of the sounds, awareness of the smells, awareness of the touch and the taste, all that goes down because the eyes are always open. So to me, I found that closing my eyes for japam was a very great, how do you say, liberation, because it forces that sense of sight to shut down. And I would even, when I'm doing my japam, if somebody turned the light on in the room, I would be annoyed because the light will penetrate through my eyelids and again awaken the sense of sight. And I'm saying, this time I want the sight shut down. Let me, as it is, I'm trying to shut all of them down. And so the easiest one is close my eyes so I can shut the sense of sight down. And then I'm hoping that as I concentrate more and more, my sound thing will go and my taste and smells. But then as that started happening, I started getting worried. I said, is this what's supposed to happen? Are we not supposed to not interfere? Let the body do what it do, but you in your mind stay on the focus of the japam that you're doing.
So initially no. And you are right. The sense of sight takes up the largest, actually, for that matter, in your brain, physical brain, the areas of the brain that are connected to sight are the largest areas. Areas connected to hearing are the second largest, and so on and so forth, right? So therefore, obviously, it is an attention hog. It is the lead horse. The 5 horses, it is the lead horse, the one in the center, and it's going to drag things along, which is why in chapter 6, what did he say? He says, Nasa gray, keep your attention at this tip. No, here. Keep your attention here. And to keep your attention here, how do you keep it? You close your eyes, tilt your head a little upward, and your attention goes to your Ajna Chakra. And the moment that happens, you are ready to be shutting down the lead horse. The lead horse shuts down, the rest of the horses happen. They are called Ashtavak, then there is the Shodashavak, then there is Shatavak, and there is Sahasravak. These are, I have seen up to Shatavak. Shatavak is a Pandit. He has trained himself to be able to hear different sounds at the same time and understand who is reciting what. Right? Now, how they practice this is, he sits with his back to the group of students, and 100 students take up 100 different texts, and they recite those texts loudly. And after a certain period of recitation, he turns around and points out and says, you were reciting this, 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 and he is correct with all 100. Now, this is basically, again, the power of shutting the eyes, using the ears, and to be able to pinpoint where, spatially, where did each sound come from. And obviously, the knowledge of the sutras or the text or whatever is being chanted. I have actually seen a Shatavak being performed in Kashi. So, I mean, I have heard that there used to be people who are Sahasravachis. 1,000 people they would be able to identify. Right? We also can do it all the time, but you just have to be conscious of it. If your son is saying something and your wife is saying something and both of them are talking at the same time, you have picked up both the conversations, right?
And we usually tell them, shut up. I can't hear myself think.
So
Punita.
therefore this is
Character.
an ability that develops when you shut down your lead horse. So there is nothing wrong. We will mature to a point where then, oh, this tree is also Brahman, the cloud is Brahman, I am Brahman, cat is Brahman, everybody is Brahman. To that level of understanding, of that level of japa, taking us there, it is called ajapa japa. That state is a stage where we have to grow into. Anything else? Otherwise, we will write last shloka for the day. Verse number 20. Raghuji, you want to carry on?
Parastasmatu bhavonyo, parastasmatu bhavonyo, vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha, vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha, parastasmatu bhavonyo, vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha. Yes, sarveshu bhuteshu.
No. Yeah,
Yes, sarveshu bhuteshu. Yes, sarveshu bhuteshu. Nashyat vinashyati.
Nashyat vinashyati. Yah
sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati parastasmatu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yah sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati.
So again, let us look at from the microcosmic to the macrocosmic. When I went to sleep, which means my body, mind, and intellect went to sleep, and I went into Sushupti, my body stopped functioning, my mind stopped functioning, my intellect stopped functioning. My manas and my antakaran was all completely zeroed. Yet I existed. Similarly, here he says, parah. Parah means beyond. Tasmat, than that. To, but. Bhava, coming from bhava, to create. Bhava, that which is created. Anya, another. Avyakta, unmanifest. Avyaktat, to the unmanifest. Sanatanaha, eternal. Yaha, who. Saha, that. Sarveshu, all. Bhuteshu, in all beings. Nashyatsu, ceases to exist. Never, na. Vinashyati, is never annihilated. So basically he's saying that beyond this manifest and unmanifest creation, there is yet another dimension, another level of unmanifest dimension. And that doesn't cease to exist even when everything else ceases. Again, at the microcosmic level, at the individual level, when I have gone to sleep, I wake up and I say, I slept, which means there was an I which was beyond the body, mind, intellect. The same way here, at the cosmic level, when all the bhuta grama, all of it when ceases to exist, there has to be an I that is continuing to exist. And that, he says, is sanatana, eternal. It is always there. And that is the what we call either the Atman or the Brahman. Atman at the macrocosmic level and Brahman at the microcosmic level. We are reaching the end of chapter 8 very shortly. We haven't had a quiz for a very long time. Normally, typically after chapter 9 only we would have done that. But बहुत लंबा चल गया है ये. तो अभी हम लोग क्या करेंगे, चैप्टर 8 खत्म होने पर हम लोग क्विज करेंगे चैप्टर 1 से लेकर चैप्टर 8 तक. सो प्लीज बी प्रिपेयर्ड, स्टार्ट प्रिपेयरिंग एंड क्विज के लिए तैयार हो जाइए. राइट? Should we end the class today? शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम।
धन्यवाद।